Hey everyone, welcome back to Trail Talks, the podcast where we talk about growth, the messy, the beautiful, and everything in between. I'm your host, Kelly Kruger, founder of Kelly Michelle Coaching, where we focus on mindset, emotional intelligence, and leadership, all grounded in real life and real science. And joining me is my co-host and partner in growth, founder of Leading People LLC, Tara Stinnett, a leadership trainer and facilitator who brings insight, curiosity, and real-world perspective to every episode. So wherever you're listening from today, we're glad you're here, and thank you for joining us on the trail. Hey everyone, welcome back to Trail Talks. I am honored to welcome Ericka Kelly to episode 13. Ericka is a retired Air Force senior enlisted leader who served as the 17th Command Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force Reserve Command and as the senior enlisted advisor to the Chief of the Air Force Reserve, representing leadership at the highest executive level of the military. She brings more than 27 years of experience in government management and law enforcement, including work as a criminal investigator with the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security, and has received national recognition from the United States Congress for her leadership and credibility. And her service continues. She continues that leadership as the CEO and owner of Ericka Kelly Enterprises. She serves as a global speaker, executive coach, leadership trainer, and author. This episode is all about Ericka, her journey, her philosophy, and the lessons she's learned along the way. Please welcome our dear friend, Ericka Kelly.
Yay! Welcome.
So I have to start.
Yes, start.
Okay, if you would have told me 8 years ago, 2018, and you and I were sitting at a table at headquarters, here I am, the A1 CEM, Chief Enlisted Manager, you're the headquarters AFRC, like Air Force Reserve Command Chief 8 years ago, and we were probably debating policy or something. You were always so graceful. Ericka and Kelly, 8 years from now, little do you know that you would both be coaches. And oh, by the way, Kelly, you're going to have a podcast and you're going to be calling Ericka, asking her to be on your podcast. I'd be like, no way. You got to be kidding me.
Isn't that incredible, though?
I can't believe it. I was laughing about that today. I would have never have thought that. I wasn't even thinking about coaching 8 years ago. It was actually right after that assignment or toward the end when I was like, I need to be better. I want to be better. And I started getting into it. But anyway, I'm so excited that you're here.
I'm happy. I'm honored, really.
No, the honor is all ours.
Yes, I am honored just to be in both of your presence.
Oh my goodness. But let me go back to 8 years ago for just 1 second. I was looking at finishing up 32 years of military service, active duty and reserve time. And I was also looking, right, because I'm a planner.
Yes.
I was looking at 27 years of law enforcement with my civilian job. And I thought, what am I going to do? Literally, what am I going to do out of uniform? And how I stumble into becoming a coach and a speaker and a trainer, it was by not luck, because I think that energy moves for a reason, but I ended up looking at the John Maxwell team, and I only signed up for that for my own personal growth, only for my own personal growth. And because I knew that I needed to transition out of the military. And then I was there, and then they're like, you will be certified and you can start your business and you can do something else with your life. And I'm like, hey, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Here we are.
Look at you now. Oh my God.
That's amazing.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, so we have your books. So I said for our listeners, she is an author. So we've got a couple books here of Ericka's. Oh, first of all, we do a coffee and camouflage series and the leadership series. So we're combining both for this episode for our listeners. So first, very obvious question. Do you drink coffee, and how do you take your coffee?
So I drink coffee. It's the first thing. I should say I drink water first and then coffee, but that's a lie. Coffee first. always coffee first. But I do drink my coffee with tons of vanilla cream.
Oh, okay.
So
You have coffee with your cream, not cream.
if you
Yeah,
want,
same.
I like to say coffee with my vanilla creamer, but some would argue that it's vanilla creamer with ding, a little bit of coffee.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay, good. All right.
Mhm.
So we want to show everybody and talk about Ericka's book, Persistence, that you wrote with Lefford. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, retired Command Chief Lefford Fate.
Lefford Fate. Awesome book. And I want to start with, he had a quote in here that I used recently. A great leader once said that the two greatest days in a person's life are the day they were born and the day they discovered why they were born, their purpose.
And
We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. And when you discovered yours. I want to ask you, because your first line in here, you said, persistence is why I'm alive today. And we all have faced adversity in our lives, and we are shaped, and we talk about this probably in almost every episode. We are shaped by every single experience that we have, and it shapes our journey and who we are and our values and how we live. And some of us, it could happen later in life. And for you, that started at 5 years old.
Yeah.
Can you share?
Sure. Now, how raw can I be in this show?
Raw.
Okay. So 5 years old, something was already happening, but not often. And that is when we visited family members that did not live in a shack like I lived with my brothers and my mom, is that male family members, cousins of my mom, would take me out of the group, the family group.
Yeah.
And they would take me to a garage, to a bathroom, to whatever. My memories start when the earliest memories, maybe 4, right?
Mhm.
And they did whatever they wanted to do with my little 4-year-old body. Okay. And I'm using this as a foundational piece of persistence.
Mhm.
I couldn't call it persistence, but that survival mechanism, my goodness, I needed to survive. Well, so let me take you then to when I'm 5 years old. And I still literally, and I share this story all the time, but I literally can remember being outside with my 2 brothers and playing in the rain, in the mud, and when you're little, you don't know you're poor, right? So the 3 of us are just having fun. And then the next thing I remember is that my mom is putting us inside the shack that was a safe place for us. And she locks the door from the outside. She leaves. She's gone. So from one second to the next, that safe place was now hey, why can't I get out of here? Mm. And if we're looking at the persistent side of the house, is I immediately was not 5 years old anymore.
Yeah.
I looked at my younger 2 brothers, right? By a year, but it doesn't matter. I was the oldest, and I took this weird responsibility at 5 years old where now I'm responsible to save them. And I'm 5. Nonetheless, I told the middle brother, I said, just make noise, right? Just make noise. And I'm making noise. And my little brother, that was maybe 2.5, was crying. So he's making noise. So I'm like, someone's going to hurt. And I remember, and sometimes I tell this little piece of the story, and sometimes I don't, but I remember hearing noises outside. And I remember getting so happy. Someone's going to open, someone's going to get us out.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing the noises, and just like that high of we're going to get out, I heard the steps walking away. I'm telling you, and I know that I'm talking about me, but I'm also talking about a 5-year-old child that felt hopelessness. And that feeling is not a good feeling. And bottom line is, we were in that room for 7 days before my grandmother rescued us. And The point of it's sometimes it's good to talk about persistence and how we got up and we get up, and not in that moment, my dear friends. In that moment, when my grandma opened that door, my two brothers were on the corner. I remember they were on the corner, and I'm standing in the middle of that shack, waiting for my grandma to say, "Good job, Eric. Good job keeping your brother safe."
Yeah.
I was expecting some reassurance. And my grandma comes in that flood of light, that flood of light when she opened the door. And when she comes in, she sees me and she bypasses me. And she goes to my little brother. Now, the three of us here, she should have done that. But that 5-year-old me, it was devastated. And the scars that I carry in my life journey were, "You're not good enough." The other adults that came into that shack, it's my 5-year-old brain processing information. The people that came in, they're looking at the mess. They're smelling the mess. And what happens is that I look and I don't see a mess. So my brain says, "You are the mess. You are the disappointment." And I remember fixing my clothes, my whatever I had on, I'm fixing it as a 5-year-old because I want to be a proper little girl because I just disappointed a bunch of people. And after my grandmother rescued us, and she took us to those family members that I told you earlier,
Yeah.
the abuse started being more frequent. Because my grandmother would say, "Do whatever they tell you." Because why was our grandmother taking us to those houses? To beg for just $1 so we could eat, to beg for some food so we could survive. So my body would go through that trauma, and I would see my grandma walking back to the new little shack we lived in, and I would see that she would be carrying a bag with some bread. And I would say, "This is me little, me saying, this is the price that I need to pay to keep the family going."
Wow. That was a lot for a 5-year-old to carry.
Yeah. I can see it now, but before it's like, "Oh, it's okay, Kelly." No, no. I'm here to tell both of you and the audience, of course. No kidding. No kidding. What 5-year-old goes through that and then has a semi-normal life like I did, right?
Right. Yeah. Can't imagine.
I mean, you carried the responsibility of your family.
And it's crazy looking back and remembering how direct my grandma was at, "You are quiet." It was three of us, three kids. So there's a mission here. The mission is for us to eat tomorrow. So you got to behave and you got to be quiet and you got to do whatever they tell you to do. So I did whatever I was told to do.
And keeping quiet and then believing that you weren't good enough back then, like you started having those beliefs
Yes,
and then
ma'am.
you were quiet. I guess in your teenage years, did that carry through all those limiting beliefs that you had?
Yes.
And the being quiet, you were probably an introvert, assuming, and that really shaped
Yes.
those
Yes.
years.
Yes. And yes. So this is what happened. What happened is that
Wow.
my grandma took us out of that shack, but she didn't take the scars that were created in that room and the scars that were created by those family members. Those were very much alive.
Yeah.
At the age of 12, there is an earthquake that almost destroys the whole country of Guatemala, my birth country. And that earthquake makes my mother, who left us, who is now in California, makes her decide to go back. And when she goes back, she finds my grandmother and the three of us homeless. That earthquake, we were alive, but it destroyed the little we owned, it was gone. And when my mom showed up, We had 4 sheets, if that makes sense. 4 sheets where that was a room, and we're sitting on the ground in the middle of the street, just like everybody else in that little neighborhood. And my mom shows up. I don't recognize her. She kind of faded away from my memory bank. And I remember my grandma sitting, the three of us, and saying, "This is my daughter." And I'm like thinking, I have an older sister, right? What's going on? I started calling my grandma mom.
Yeah.
And so everything's just so confusing. But my mom or my grandma says, "This is my daughter, and she's taking you to the United States." And I was 12.
I was going to ask how old you were. Okay, 12.
Ugh,
Wow.
I'm telling you right now, that 12-year-old was ready to punch somebody. I'm like, "Who are you? I don't like you. And my mother is right here, and I'm not leaving her." And just pure anger. I mean, it's like everything that happened through birth till 12, I was ready to explode. But at 12, I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Right. So I remember my mom, I'm literally holding on to my grandma, like holding on. And my mom's like, and
Wow.
we walked from Guatemala to the United States. So roughly 1,500 miles.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Walk. Is that what you said? Walk?
yeah.
How long
So
did that take?
so that trip alone, man, do I have stories.
Well, I was going to say that's a few more episodes. That's a whole journey in and of itself.
Yeah. So it's incredible. I'm telling you about a very painful childhood. I'm telling you about a journey to the United States, about culturally not knowing anything about the United States. I mean, literally, we didn't even know anything about electricity, nothing. I mean, we were so primitive, the three of us. However, ladies, I hope that as we continue to talk, people can see the miracle. Literally, how can someone that at 5 years old was eating ants with the dirt that those ants came with to survive, to then all the way, and I'm not bragging, but it is a miracle for me to then become the 17th Command Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force Reserve. That's a big deal. That's like a huge deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're a big deal. But I mean, it's grit. It's exactly what that is. It's exactly what that is. I mean, it's a miracle, but you have a large part of that miracle.
I never gave up, ladies.
Yeah, you didn't. You could have. You had many opportunities to give up.
Yes. In some of the classes that I teach, I do talk about how we are very good at creating the perfect excuses.
Yeah.
And the perfect excuse is something that's factual, something that's true. So for my journey, at any time, I could have said, "I'm not doing that," or "I'm not trying that because I'm an immigrant, because I'm female, because I am small frame, because people are going to make fun of my accent," and all of that, because I've been abused, because I was abandoned, because I didn't have a good mom. All of that whole list could have been a really nice blanket for me to do nothing and feel comfortable about it.
Yeah, for you to say, number one, I'm not worth it. I'm not worthy.
Zero value. Zero value. Yeah.
All right. So thank you for your vulnerability. It's a story of survival. So you came to America, and then what?
So 12 years old, came to California, and very quickly, don't ask me why, because no judgment. As a matter of fact, I take care of my mom now, right? She suffered a stroke. And I think that even when I was at the command, my family kept taking care of my mom. So no judgment. When I bring mom stories, it's not because of anger. I love my mom, right? She was 15 when she had me, and she was 20, right? When I was 5, she was 20 when she left. And because of the stroke, I can't ask her why she left or why she locked the door from the outside. What I do know or want to believe is that she did it to create distance so she could live and she could find a better future. I don't know. However, I love my mom. Yeah. But at the age of 12, I quickly learned that in order for me to find any type of success in the United States, that I needed to do two things. One was to learn the language, and two, to educate myself, find an education level that was acceptable for the United States community. And then I knew those two things were necessary. And at 12 years old, at 12, I just knew that I wanted to be part of the military.
Yeah. Wow.
No background,
Yeah.
no, something inside me said, education, language, safety. You
Yeah.
will find safety. You will find the family that you never had in the military, or the family that you were pulled away from in the military. So that was my driving force from 12 all the way till I became part of the reserve force.
When did you start sharing your story?
Oh,
Did you hide it like
question, friend. That's a tough
That's a
question.
good question.
because you were
Well,
probably ashamed of it or didn't feel comfortable sharing? You may not have felt close with people. So when did you feel comfortable enough to share your story in the military?
so like you said earlier, right? What were the consequences of going through that? Yep. I was a loner. I isolated myself. I thought very little of myself. And when the Air Force said yes to me, I had this huge imposter syndrome going on where if they find out, right? If the Air Force finds out who I am or what I went through, because I was embarrassed
Mhm.
of my background. I was ashamed of my background. I took blame of everything that happened to me. It wasn't those men, 3 men to be exact. It wasn't their fault. It was my fault. Somehow I just knew that. And so I hid and I lied. When people said, how was your childhood? My childhood was full of toys and happiness, mom and dad. And I just made up this beautiful immigrant family because I needed to survive in a environment that I thought would kick me out if they knew the truth about me.
Yeah.
So your question is, when did I share? I lied for a long time. I had to because I thought I just needed to survive in the military. And I remember already being a chief. So a long time.
Wow. Yeah.
Already being a chief. And I'm at Travis Air Force Base. And my commander learns obviously that I'm an immigrant, and he learns that there is a Hispanic channel that wants to interview me and wants to interview me about my journey as an immigrant, because there's always an immigrant issue. So they wanted to say, look at this immigrant and look what she accomplished. So they wanted to use me for a political point of view. And so the commander finds this out, and then he then says, Ericka, I want you to, at commander's call, or there was a workshop of some sort. He goes, I want you to tell your story.
Wow.
And I go, sir, I'm not ready to do that.
Yeah. How did you feel when he said that?
It's like, there's no freaking way I'm going to tell my story. Right? Where there's all the chiefs, all the first sergeants, and all the commanders, and I, as the command chief of the wing, going to tell my story? Come on. And so he's like, he kind of looks at me kind of weird, and he's like, okay, right? Like, okay. But a second thing happened. There was also an enlisted workshop going on. And at the enlisted workshop, I am a panel member. And God knows, right, why things happen. And there's this 19-year-old airman, and he says, Chief, what made you go into the military? And I don't know what happened, ladies, but I said, because I went through this. And I added, because it's not like that happened and then everything else started becoming shiny and pretty, right? Life kept kicking me in the teeth. And at 16, I ended up being kicked out of the house, my mom, and meeting a man that I thought was going to be my savior, a 32-year-old man. I'm 16. I'm thinking, remember, I don't have any role models of what good looks like.
Yeah.
So I go for this guy. I ended up marrying this guy. And at the beginning of my career, my last name was Ericka Rockwell. That was my married name, Rockwell. And this guy was complete abuser. I had bruises from the neck down.
Mm.
So when this airman, I'm telling you, I'm like, you want to know a story? Let me tell you a story. But this airman is like, Chief, what made you go into the military? I go, what? I could have said education, because that's what I said before. A chance to have a career, chance to travel, whatever we all say about the military. Oh no. You know what comes out of my mouth? My toxic relationship and how I had to join the military to save my life, literally save my life, because the violence was escalating so much. And then I talked a little bit about my Guatemalan story. There was 500 enlisted.
Wow.
And everybody got really, really quiet. And the panel members, all chiefs from headquarters, and they got really, really, really quiet. And I thought, what have I done? Because the silence didn't stop. The silence was so loud. And then after, well, next question, please, right? At the end of the event, I had that 19-year-old little baby, right? Give me a hug and tell me, thank you for sharing that story. I'm going to go home and tell it to my mom, Hispanic 19-year-old. I'm going to tell it to my mom because my mom and I have been hiding from my dad since I was 4 years old because she was in the same situation that you were. And I'm going to tell her about you. And I'm like,
That's amazing.
and that was a hint for me that I needed to, it wasn't about me and my protection, that I needed to be as raw as I could be in different audiences and to tell my story because there's someone out there. I can be uncomfortable all I need to be. Again, it's not about us. It's not about me. It's about being able to tell the story and breathe. And from that point on, if people want to know, I tell the story.
Yeah, I was going to say that's amazing because it's so important for us to tell our stories and what we're going through and not hide it because you just don't know who else you're helping out there or who else can resonate. And being a chief and an immigrant and making it as far as you did, you probably looked all poised and put together. Oh, she doesn't have a story to tell. I'm not going to feel comfortable talking to the chief. But when you come out and you tell your story, you're authentically you, it just touches so many people. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I remember Kelly inviting me to talk to a group of chiefs a few months ago. And I shared. I went into the military because I was fighting for my life.
I think
The
go ahead,
physical
sorry.
abuse.
I think you said a few minutes ago after you told the story and it was complete silence, you could probably hear a pin drop and you say, what did I just do? You started a movement. I don't remember my leaders telling their stories 20 years ago or even 15 years ago. I don't remember that happening. And now it's okay. And I mean, that is why you're here. That is why that for these last 8 years, I keep bringing you back. And it's because you share your story. You show you are real. And everybody has a story. Everybody's story is different, but it's okay to share it. And we shouldn't be ashamed of our past and who we are. Share your story. Yeah, I think you started that. So I'm just going to give you that credit right there.
I thank you.
credit.
I thank you for saying that. I remember going to AFSA,
Mm-hmm.
and now I am the command chief for the Air Force Reserve. Now I'm a top 10 chief, right? In the Air Force. Now I am again a part of a panel. And now it's being televised. It's the big brass of the enlisted force in the room. and I am asked a question, and I remember seeing myself in the panel, but they have those big monitors where you see yourself 20 times bigger than you are. And I answered the question. And again, the audience got quiet, but I was okay. The first time that it happened, I was like, oh my gosh. But as you continue, that silence means that people are processing what
Yeah.
they heard. They're
Mhm.
processing their own story. They're processing a friend's story. So
Mhm.
when at AFSA, when I heard that little silence, just stay still, I was like, awesome.
It's incredible.
It is. Even I got quiet just now when you were telling the story. I was just sitting here like, I hope Kelly has some questions because I'm processing. So
Well,
yeah, I can
and
understand.
the silence could be for many reasons. I mean, one reason could be some in the audience and some airmen out there, we know this. It still is out there that they're not around real and they're not around authentic and they're not around people that share stories. So when they hear one and it's real and it's authentic, it's going to take a few minutes to sink in. And airmen appreciate it. They appreciate it. We can be leaders and we can be chiefs and we can be exceptional chiefs and also share our story.
Absolutely. And it showcased that persistence has different faces.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I talk about persistence, sometimes I say, stay on the ground. If life hits you hard enough, it's not like, okay, I got the hit and I'm going to bounce back up. Negative.
Right.
No. Sometimes life hits us so hard that we're on the ground. And I say, stay there. Stay there until you can move again. Stay there until you can breathe again. Stay there until you can stretch your arms and say, am I still whole? And then hold on to something or someone to get up. And don't let go of that something or that someone until, can I make a step? And then try, no, I can't. Hold on. Can I make a step? Yes. Let go. Learn, regroup, reassess. Don't get up on the same spot that life hit you, because life is going to hit you again
And again.
and again and again if you keep getting up on the same spot. So regroup, readjust, and keep going. And you're now much, much stronger because there's going to be another storm. It is what it is. We're either coming out of something, we are either going through something, or we're going to go through something in the future. But that's a cycle, that's a rhythm.
Yeah, I remember when I started counseling last year and, I was always so competitive and had a chip on my shoulder and just needed to be the best and work hard and work day and night. And my first day there, and I cried and they said, you know what the problem is? They're like, Kelly, sometimes it's okay just to be okay. And I'm like, oh, and they're like, get used to just being with Kelly and just being okay for a little while. And I've never was just with Kelly. Was never just okay. Like I just had to keep going. I had to keep going. And it changed my life. I mean, it was a game changer for me to change that perspective.
But it's interesting how, in order for us to cope with life, we stayed busy.
Mm-hmm.
And because staying busy, doing something, being stressed allows us to, again, have that perfect excuse of, I'm busy, I can't deal with that right now.
Yeah.
The minute that stress lowers and we have that space to think, too painful, too much. So we create more stress so we can go to that level where we can, even though we're stressed, be normal.
Yeah.
Right. So creating that space of really being inside of us and being okay with that is such an amazing growth step.
If today's conversation resonated with you, you don't have to walk your journey alone. I offer emotional intelligence assessments with personalized coaching, one-on-one mindset coaching, and leadership development for teams and organizations. You can explore all of that at kellymichellecoaching.com, linked in the show notes. And I'll leave you with this. Awareness is powerful, but support is transformational.